High school baseball has seen the midway point of the season come and go. Carl Junction with 11 wins through 15 games. That includes winning 6 of their last 8. Now, Bulldogs with a big, maybe even the biggest test, taking on the #1 team in the state. Willard coming into town to play CJ. We're going to pick it up in the 5th inning. Willard leads 3-2, and we've got 2 outs. But on the wild pitch, here comes Drew Byer. Big tying run for the Bulldogs. Then 2 outs for Willard. Ground ball. Throw to first. Keaton Justin. Got him! Huge play prevents the run, keeps it tied. Last chance for Carl Junction in the 7th. Noah Southern. Noah Southern, walk it off. Do that, kid. And look at this. Carl Junction beats the #1 team in the state. It's Bulldogs over Willard. Final score 4-3.
Noah's a good player, and he's a good hitter. And you know that when he's at the plate there at the end, and he's got the opportunity to do something, he's going to be in the right frame of mind and take advantage of opportunities. And he did that today. That was a great team win. Our guys did a great job playing for 21 outs and staying in a game and competing. And proud of our guys and the way they overcame some adversity early on. And truly, you hope it's the momentum that carries you on to some other big games we have coming up.
Now coming into the night, right behind Willard in the Class 5 rankings, were the Webb City Cardinals at #2. Webb City and Willard, they squared off earlier this week. Willard won that one 5-4. The Cardinals handed just their 3rd loss of the season in that contest, and yesterday Webb with a chance to bounce back and do so against Branson. Tragan Parker out to the second baseman. Cards trading out for the run. Devin Weathers scores, makes it 1-0. Same inning, Matt Woodmansee. We're going, over the center fielder's head. That's where we're going. RBI double. Shane Knoll rounds third. Knoll's not stopping. He's in all the way from first base. Later, Weathers again takes off, steals third. Woodmansee does his job, puts the ball in play. Fundamental baseball, scores runs. 3-0 Cardinals. Webb finishes the job and beats Branson 11-2. Yesterday was the quarterfinal round of the NJCAA Men's Basketball Championship. Coffeyville, one of 8 teams remaining, earned their spot after a dominating 95-56 win over Odessa in round 2. Coffeyville came in 24-1 against Nakawa. Red Ravens down by 7 at the half. But they turned this thing around and win it 83-80 in overtime. Markeith Browning, a team-high 23 points as the Red Ravens advance to the semifinals, which will be played later today. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, one man's mission to clean up the beaches, one cigarette butt at a time. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. A little past 5:17 on this Friday morning. Hard to believe that for the past 3 days we've been talking about having freezing low temperatures in the morning, and now we're even throwing up a 50 in Oswego, 49 in Joplin and Carthage, though 49 in there in Parsons and Chanute as well. Even coming off of yesterday's light rain, it's hard to complain about the way it feels this morning. Our weather almanac on this April 23rd would put that all-time low at 35, so it'll actually be the 3rd consecutive day that we don't challenge, if not break, a record low. Did pick up 3/100ths of an inch of precip at Joplin Regional Airport with the light rain that we had, now pushing us up to about 3/4 of an inch since the beginning of the month. 24-hour temperature change, we are among the highest in the Midwest, 16-degree difference from now to where we stood at this point in time on Thursday. We will take it. All the rain has really moved off to our east. We got a little bit coming down the eastern edge of southwest Missouri right there. They're looking at what's coming out of Wichita, but remember, this is not like yesterday where we were looking out at the west and seeing what was moving toward us. We're going to pay attention to what's down to the south later on this afternoon as the thunderstorm activity with the Gulf moisture move up out of Oklahoma and Arkansas. We're seeing a little bit begin to formulate right there in the Arklatex region along the Red River. Big trough for the jet stream. This is what's going to bring us some thunderstorm activity as it's going to progress from west to east. It'll take this system, move it off. Everything is going to be able to replace it as it works in from the south. Watches and warnings, well, we don't have anything to worry about. That's a welcome sight. All the cold weather now has pushed off east of the Mississippi, really ranges from the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys to the mid-Atlantic. Our weather trend today is going to lift us up into the 60s. We haven't been able to say that in a number of days, but we also know that we've got action that's going to begin this afternoon and evening. As it moves from south to north, here it comes. It'll really kind of start for the afternoon showers, but then we're going to get on it by the time the sun goes down. And it's going to carry us from Friday with some very, very heavy rain into Saturday morning. Now, Saturday about 7, 8 o'clock, that's when we're really tapering off, and we're clearing out Saturday afternoon, as a matter of fact, to the point where we're even going to see some afternoon sunshine. On the 7-day forecast, you'll see that after we get rid of it, hey, let the warming trend begin with temperatures in the 70s on Sunday and 80s by the time we get to Monday. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll as the U.S. is one step closer to having 51 states. Yeah, here we go again. Thursday, House approved a bill that would grant Washington, D.C. statehood. Legislation now heads to the Senate, where it faces a pretty uphill fight. Does not look like it has enough Republican support to get the 60 votes needed. Republicans argue if the U.S. gets a new state, it should happen through a constitutional amendment. Our question to you on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. A paper stuck together. Should Washington, D.C. become the 51st state? Let us know why or why not. Take part in the poll by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Let's come back and rock a little Health Watch next.
Warmer weather.
Topping Health Watch this morning, D.C. advisors holding a 6-hour meeting later today on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and the blood clots that have been linked to the shot. Vaccine hesitancy, one obstacle toward achieving herd immunity, but health experts say Americans should worry more about getting COVID than any side effects from the vaccines. CBS's Laura Podesta with the story.
A federal advisory committee may lift the pause on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine today. It comes more than a week after distribution was halted, following reports of rare but dangerous blood clots in fewer than a dozen people.
Over 6 million doses. The number of these reported blood clots was still, exceedingly rare.
The FDA will likely now require a warning with the shot.
I think too many people may be scared off by taking the vaccine. They shouldn't be, but perception is everything when it comes to vaccines.
Officials are also investigating the death of an Oregon woman who developed a clot, though it's still unclear if it was related.
It might be about a week or later before they're able to conclusively decide on the cause of death.
Bringing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine back into circulation would mean an additional 10 million doses. But around the country, vaccine appointments are increasingly going unfilled.
We are not seeing patients that have been vaccinated being admitted to the hospital.
Younger people are making up the majority of COVID patients at Goshen Hospital in Indiana.
Infections are going up, hospitalizations are going up, and both of those things are unnecessary.
Abby Hall got COVID in December and is still dealing with health issues.
If something health-related pops up in my life, I'm always like, is this new or is this COVID-related?
Researchers at Yale University recently launched a study looking into whether the vaccine may actually help alleviate the lingering symptoms in some so-called COVID long haulers. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
More than 135 million Americans, that's roughly 40% of the population, have received at least one shot. Low birth weight for babies, researchers say cannabis use during pregnancy is rising, with many women using it to alleviate nausea and to relieve stress. Got time to put one more in there. I found this really interesting, especially we talk about this, you don't screw around with chest pains and whatnot. Scientists in China developing a blood test that can quickly determine if a person with a chest pain is having a heart attack. And they believe this test could replace invasive and slower procedures. And also, of course, we talked to Tim Stebbins about this before. Time is of the essence when it comes to stroke and heart attacks. So the fact that they'll be able to do it with a blood test, hopefully, is just absolutely amazing. Let's run to our weather trends. Very comfortable morning. We've got high 40s, low 50s on the board right now, sitting back and waiting for thunderstorm activity to arrive from the south. As it does get here for the afternoon hours, increases in intensity through the night. Farther south you get, the higher the threat of not only wind, but even some hail there as you work on the other side of the Oklahoma state line. Pushing through into early Saturday morning, should be out of here by about 9-10 o'clock, and then we actually can sit back and enjoy a Sunday. It's going to bring us sunshine and get up into the 70s. And of course, you can always find the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
Good morning, I'm Tanya Bach with your KOAM news update. Police search for at least 3 more suspects following a series of drug raids in southeast Kansas. Warrants remain active for Kevin Pratt and Jessica Rogers from Iola and Timothy Mishler from Chanute. They're among 12 suspects who were sought in KBI raids Wednesday in Neosho County, Allen County, and Montgomery County, Kansas, following an 8-month-long investigation of drug crimes, including the distribution of methamphetamine. One of the raids was at this location on North Garfield in Chanute, where officers say they found suspicious explosive devices. They've arrested a total of 9 people so far, 6 suspects from Chanute, 2 from Iola, and 1 from Cherryvale. For a complete list of arrests and charges, you can go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's Michael with today's forecast.
Temperatures able to press up into the 60s later today. Very nice change from what we've had, at least on the Mercury. But we can't escape thunderstorm activity as we get into the afternoon hours. The rain showers turn into rumbles of thunder and flashes of lightning. It's going to take us from Friday night all the way into Saturday morning before it finally tapers out late morning and leaves us with a delightful Saturday afternoon.
State's most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Don't forget your raincoat when you walk out the door this morning because there's a chance of rain all day and into the weekend. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
Luckily, our rain from yesterday wasn't too bad. Relatively light and whatnot. It's one of those if you had outdoor activities and you had to go through them, it wasn't going to slow anything down. Today's going to be different, though, because that threat of thunder and lightning is going to emerge. As far as what we've got on the tower cam outside of Television City, 49 degrees right now. Feels like 45. We'll take that, comparatively speaking, when we talk about what we had from Monday through Thursday for frigid cold temps. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of 49s and 50s don't seem too bad. Skywatch Storm Tracker, a little light rain, eastern edge of southwest Missouri. We're going to turn our attention to everything down south today. That's where we'll be radar watching to see what Gulf moisture formulates and bubbles up along the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line and then progresses to the north toward us. Larger system with that light rain showers that we did have yesterday is now making its way off to the east of the Mississippi, forcing that big cold front that was on us to the mid-Atlantic and up to the northeastern section of the United States. And that allows us to actually pick up a little southwest warmth. Not as warm as what we'd anticipate this time of year, but still mid-60s. It's going to feel like Bermuda outside compared to record-breaking lows that we had. Here's what Future Track has in store. Scattered rain showers for the morning up until the afternoon. Then here comes the thunderstorm activity from the south just in time for this evening. Rolls through us. It's going to be one of those overnight affairs that will last into Saturday morning. Very heavy rain with that. Got high wind, even the possibility of hail as you move to the far southern portion of the 4 states. Push that out of here. Say it should be done about in between 8-10 a.m. Push off to the east. Then we're able to get sunshine, be back up into the mid-60s.
Looking forward to that warm-up.
And really Saturday afternoon throughout Sunday and Monday are going to be great.
Just got to get
through this one round of thunderstorm activity tonight and then tomorrow. We'll be fine.
All right, we can handle it. All right, thanks, Michael. Police search for at least 3 more suspects following a series of drug raids in southeast Kansas. Warrants remain active for Kevin Pratt and Jessica Rogers from Iola and Timothy Mishler from Chanute. They're among 12 suspects who were sought in KBI raids Wednesday in Neosho County, Allen County, and Montgomery County, Kansas, following an 8-month-long investigation of drug crimes, including distribution of methamphetamine. One of the raids was at this location on North Garfield in Chanute, where officers say they found suspicious explosive devices. They've arrested a total of 9 people so far, 6 suspects from Chanute, 2 from Iola, and 1 from Cherryvale. For a complete list of arrests and charges, you can go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. A Missouri Senate Budget Committee votes against funding the voter-approved Medicaid expansion. The budget panel voted 7-7 on a Republican-sponsored proposal that would have set aside money to pay for the program. The tied vote means the proposal failed. Missouri voters last year amended the state constitution to extend government health care to thousands more low-income adults. But now the legislature is arguing over whether to pay for it. The leader of the Budget Committee says it's now up to the full Senate to make a final decision on funding for the program. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signs legislation to increase penalties for blocking roadways and granting immunity to some motorists who kill or injure rioters. The measure is one of a series of proposals across the country aimed at cracking down on protesters. The bill makes it a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail for demonstrators to block a public street. It also grants motorists criminal and civil immunity if they kill or injure someone while fleeing a riot. In Kansas, Governor Kelly vetoes legislation that would ban trans student athletes from competing in girls' sports. In a statement, the governor said, quote, "As Kansans, we should be focused on how to include all students in extracurricular activities rather than how to exclude those who may be different than us. Kansas is an inclusive state, and our laws should reflect our values. This law does not do that." Supporters of the bill still could try to override her veto and try to persuade a handful of moderate Republicans who either voted against the bill or abstained to switch. In order to override, supporters need to pick up only one more vote in the Senate, but they need 8 more in the House. No Democrat voted for it. There's a new and unique playground that's about to open at Joplin's Landreth Park. The new Joplin Parks and Rec project is known as an inclusive playground, and it's designed to be accessible to just about any kid. But what exactly makes this playground inclusive? For starters, it's a lot easier to get on the play set.
The main thing that makes this inclusive is the ramp system. We have a ramp system that comes right off of the sidewalk. So it takes you right up into the playground itself.
Not only is the main playset wheelchair accessible, there are a number of fun things to do closer to the ground, including games and even a modernized merry-go-round. Joplin Parks and Rec says the finishing touches are being put on the playground today, and it should be up and running this weekend. Students at PSU are working on the school's first campus community green guide. The guide will serve as a tool to show what sustainability measures the university and local businesses have put into place. It will also go through simple things that students and residents can do to be more green. The students working on the guide hope it will transform from a class project into something that has a lasting impact on the community.
Sustainability isn't something huge that's unattainable and hard to do. You have to be rich or something. It's just like everyday practices that you can do that will benefit you, the university, and the community.
We believe that sustainability is the way of the future, and we hope that this guide is a step towards that.
The students will finish the guide next month with plans for it to be available to students and the public this fall. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We hear from a NASA scientist on how they're monitoring climate change from the International Space Station. Plus, cigarette butts remain the most littered item in the U.S. and around the globe. We'll tell you about one man's mission to put a stop to it. First, it's 5:37.
Very comfortable outside. High 40s, low 50s right now, and eventually ending up in the 60s. But obviously, the key thing on that Friday panel is the fact that there's a little thunder and lightning in there. As we put future track into motion, it will originate from the south. The heavy stuff will. Light showers throughout the morning. That's not really going to affect us. But then by the time we get to the evening and right around sundown, here we go. That's a good line of not only heavy rain, but also thunder and lightning involved with that. That'll carry us into Saturday morning before it finally dispatches off to the east. Should be a nice looking Saturday afternoon though. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Good Friday morning, Michael Hayslip with you in the Skywatch Weather Center. Just some light Friday morning showers and temperatures able to make it up into the 60s. Pretty good looking morning, honestly. It's tonight when the thunderstorm activity arrives. It works in from the south. Good band of rain is going to carry us Friday night into Saturday morning. That will be anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 inches by the time it's done raining on Saturday.
Topping World Watch, cigarette smoking in America has decreased dramatically in the past decade, but cigarette butts remain the most littered item in the U.S. and around the globe. CBS's Ian Lee is in London with the story of a man determined to do something about it.
While others enjoy the beach, Julian Melser is there to save it.
Makes me look like a professional.
Call him a professional butt remover, picking up used cigarettes on Israel's beaches.
It's burning in my soul, it's burning in my bones, it's burning in my eyes when I see trash in the beach.
It's a big problem for oceans. Environmentalists say cigarette filters are the most toxic single-use plastic on the planet. Worldwide, it's estimated trillions are tossed every year. Melser had picked up thousands, but then the pandemic hit.
And all of a sudden I find myself 6 months, no work.
With plenty of time on his hands, he started collecting more and more and more, turning one person's trash into another's treasure by creating artwork. Although he prefers another side hustle, selling cigarette pouches for a few dollars, so people keep their butts off the beach. This bartender says it's an amazing project that protects the earth. Melser is a man on a mission.
Just trying to save the world.
And make Tel Aviv's beaches a better place. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Melser says the cigarette butts that are not turned into artwork are shipped to a company in Ireland which recycles their plastic filters. Pretty cool. Rare art is being displayed at Christie's in London. Paintings by artists like Picasso, Mondrian, and Van Gogh are being shown at the auction house ahead of the 20th Century Evening Sale, taking place in New York on May 13th. Before arriving in London for exhibition, the 3 oil paintings were also being displayed in Hong Kong. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, the U.S. one step closer to having 51 states, but a move that still faces certain hurdles. Up for grabs is that District of Columbia. We're asking you if D.C. should become the 51st state on Facebook and our Insta poll. And boy, didn't take long for everybody to come to a consensus on this. Don Walker, no. Randy DeBeal, bleep no. Mandy Haynes with a nope. Joey Propato, no. Kendall Strohr, no. Brian Gideon, no. Terry Boggs, 23rd Amendment says they cannot, but they don't really care. What's legal, do they? And Terry brings up a good point right there if anybody wants to go research that. John Tribune says no. Just another trick from the Democrats. Good morning, KOAM. Good morning, America. We say good morning, John. As far as our Insta poll goes, pretty much mirroring what our Facebook comments are, as 80% of you say no, D.C. should not become the 51st state. You can make your comments heard on our KOAM News Now Facebook page, or if you'd like to take part in the Insta poll, remember, all you have to do is KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Earlier in the show, we detailed the historic rocket launch by NASA as we now have astronauts on their way to the International Space Station, and we're kind enough to be joined by Matt Rodell. Matt is the Acting Deputy Director of Earth Sciences, and Matt joins us live this morning from Clarksville, Maryland. Matt, I want to thank you for your time. Congratulations on this morning's launch. You know, coming off of our Earth Day celebrations yesterday, I kind of want to dive into what's in your cup of tea, hydrosphere, biosphere, geophysics, and that sort of thing. What exactly does the International Space Station and this crew's mission help us as far as climate change on Earth?
Well, we actually make a number of measurements from the space station. So NASA has 20 satellites that are orbiting the Earth right now, making Earth observations, but we also put instruments right on the space station, which is nice because then we can just mount them on an arm in the space station and they don't need their own satellite. And they're making numerous observations of things, everything from the health of vegetation to the types of constituents in the atmosphere, aerosols, carbon dioxide, that sort of thing, observations of the ocean. I could go on, but huge number of measurements. I think there are 16 sensors on the space station right now looking down at Earth.
What's our time frame that we have for historical knowledge from those sensors at the ISS as far as how we're able to track it on an annual, if not daily basis?
Well, those measurements in the ISS, there have been like I said, numerous sensors have actually changed over time, and often they're a little bit on the experimental side. When you're talking about a long record of observations from space, really need to look at our satellite observations, and those go back to the early 70s.
Wow.
Of records. Some of the first observations were things like you could just start to see where the snow cover was in the northern hemisphere, for example, and it was just like a real eye opener. Like, wow, we can really see, how these things are changing over time. And those observations are really critical. As you said, having a long record allows us to see how the Earth is changing over time in response to climate change, in response to natural variability, in response to direct human impacts.
And from a weather person's perspective, we rely so much on your data, especially when it comes to hurricane season. I know you track wildfires. Look, we got some rain right here in the 4 states. I want to specifically ask about flooding and droughts and how the ISS, the sensors, and your mission can kind of help us track that.
Well, we have various observations that are relevant to drought and the water cycle in general. These include a satellite called GPM that makes global measurements of precipitation around the world. It's really been critical for hurricane monitoring, for example. We also measure things like the evapotranspiration, which is the water coming up off of the land and from the plants. When there's high heat, you get more evaporation, there's more water loss, and that can sort of enhance a drought. We look at things like the types of crops that are being planted, how they're using the water, and how stressed those crops are. So all of these things sort of add up to very useful observations when we're trying to monitor things like flooding and drought.
And Matt, coming off of today's historic launch, you've got another launch coming up. It's Landsat. How do you explain it to people and what its mission will be?
Yeah, so this is actually Landsat 9, which means it's the 9th in this long line of Landsat observing systems, going back to July of 1972, as a matter of fact. So the Landsat observations are making, it's basically an imager. So we're constantly, photographing the Earth from space. And it's made some really critical observations to be able to understand how especially the land is changing over time. The example I'll give you is if you go to the Google Earth engine and look at their time-lapse machine, you can see some fantastic animations of how the Earth's been changing. So you see things like the growth of Las Vegas and how that's spread out over time. You see deforestation in the Amazon. You can see glaciers that are retreating due to global warming. So some really cool stuff if you want to check out those types of animations.
Matt Rodell, Acting Deputy Director of Earth Sciences in a number of fields for NASA. Matt, number one, congratulations on this morning's launch. Number two, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and happy day after Earth Day.
Same back to you, my man. All right, we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. We're going to talk about temperatures on a Friday morning that are ranging anywhere from high 40s to low 50s. A very nice start, all things considered, to what we had past couple of days. Now remember, we do have some thunderstorm activity that is on its way. It's not going to be here till really the afternoon hours. Everything that we have for the time being is going to be pretty light and just mainly showers. We'll go ahead and fast forward to Future Track here and watch the thunderstorm activity roll in for the evening and carry us all the way into Saturday morning. We'll break this down when we come back after the break.
Authorities search for 3 suspects in the aftermath of a large Southeast Kansas drug bust. Plus, the Missouri Budget Committee votes on funding Medicaid expansion, and Kansas Governor Laura Kelly vetoes legislation that would have banned trans student athletes from competing in girls' sports.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Don't forget your raincoat when you walk out this morning, because it's going to rain at some point. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
And as we take a look outside of Television City, the nice thing about it is it's not going to be the cold soaker that we had, because we're a good 15, 16 degrees above where we were at this point in time yesterday. 49 degrees right now is what we have in Joplin, 47 in Independence, 48 in Lamar. So it's quite delightful when you walk outside. And for the time being, we are on the dry side. That is, of course, subject to change as far as what we're looking at nationally. The light rain that we had yesterday and the much colder temperatures that we had the previous 3 days have now moved off on the other side of the Mississippi. So that's going to be replaced with, number one, a little southwestern warmth, but number two, what does everything from the southwest bring us? Yeah, Gulf moisture as well. You put that combination together, and usually we're talking about thunderstorm activity as it generates down to the south through portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas. Really gets on it here, let's say late afternoon, early evening hours, and it's going to pack heavy rain, thunder, and lightning as it rolls through from the south to the east. And we're going to take this into Saturday morning. Should be done with this, say, 9 a.m. on Saturday. And after that, we actually can relax and enjoy the rest of Saturday and what's really going to be a nice looking Sunday as well. But for the time being, let's concentrate on getting 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain. We're going to see some flooding on creeks and streams. Rivers, our main rivers, looking all right now according to the hydrographs. Nerd alert.
The hydrographs,
I
yes.
know. I can't believe I just said it. As soon as I said it, too, I wanted to be like, no, word, come back.
That's all right. It's important to keep an eye on those.
No word. Tanya's just going to use it to make fun of you.
Moving along. Police search for at least 3 more suspects following a series of drug raids in southeast Kansas. Warrants remain active for Kevin Pratt and Jessica Rogers from Iola and Timothy Mishler from Chanute. They're among 12 suspects who were sought in KBI raids Wednesday in Neosho County, Allen County, and Montgomery County, Kansas, following an 8-month-long investigation of drug crimes, including distribution of methamphetamine. One of the raids was at this location on North Garfield in Chanute, where officers say they found suspicious explosive devices. And they've arrested a total of 9 people so far, 6 suspects from Chanute, 2 from Iola, and 1 from Cherryvale. For a complete list of arrests and charges, go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A Missouri Senate Budget Committee votes against funding the voter-approved Medicaid expansion. The budget panel voted 7-7 on a Republican-sponsored proposal that would have set money aside to pay for the program. The tied vote means the proposal failed. Missouri voters last year amended the state constitution to extend government health care to thousands more low-income adults. But now the legislature is arguing over whether to pay for it. The leader of the Budget Committee says it's now up to the full Senate to make a final decision on funding for the program. In Kansas, Governor Kelly vetoes legislation that would have banned trans student athletes from competing in girls' sports. In a statement, the governor said, quote, "As Kansans, we should be focused on how to include all students in extracurricular activities, rather than how to exclude those who may be different than us. Kansas is an inclusive state, and our laws should reflect our values. This law does not do that." Supporters of the bill still could try to override or veto and try to persuade a handful of moderate Republicans who either voted against the bill or abstained to switch. In order to override, supporters need to pick up only 1 more vote in the Senate, but they need 8 more in the House. No Democrat voted for it. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signs legislation to increase penalties for blocking roadways and grant immunity to some motorists who kill or injure rioters. The measure is one of a series of proposals across the country aimed at cracking down on protesters. The bill makes it a misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail for demonstrators to block a public street. It also grants motorists criminal and civil immunity if they kill or injure someone while fleeing a riot. A new and unique playground is about to open at Joplin's Landreth Park. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to the city's Parks and Recreation Director to learn why they made the upgrade and what it means for the future of Joplin parks.
Darla Wyatt is a Joplin mom who brings her kids to Landreth Park to play. And she says the brand new inclusive playground that's about to open at Landreth will make the popular park even better.
I think that's exciting. I definitely know parents that would take advantage of that and appreciate having a more disability-friendly park in this Joplin area.
So what exactly makes this playground inclusive? For starters, it's a lot easier to get on the playset.
The main thing that makes this inclusive is the ramp system. We have a ramp system that comes right off of the sidewalk. So it takes you right up into the playground itself.
Not only is the main playset wheelchair accessible, there are a number of fun things to do closer to the ground, including games and even a modernized classic.
Merry-go-round, which, back in the 70s when you were kids, we had those all over the place. So that one's really cool. Plus there's a chair that you can sit in that, you can get your buddies to swing you in and it spins you around.
This playset isn't Joplin's first foray with accessible amenities for 4-state youth. The Accessible to All Will Norton Miracle Field has been a hit in Joplin for almost a decade. And Joplin's Parks and Rec wants Landreth Park and eventually all its parks to follow in the field's footsteps.
We're here for everyone, always have been, and changing some of our philosophies for the better, and when we say everyone, we mean everyone.
In Joplin, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
The new accessible playground at Landreth Park comes at a cost of $72,000. The ADA-compliant mulch that will surround it will cost an additional $72,000. Ascension Via Christi in Pittsburgh not only celebrates Earth Day, but also recognizes the lives lost during the pandemic. This was done by planting a grove of trees as a living memorial. Officials say everyone on their staff has been impacted by the pandemic in some way, and this memorial will represent their mission while also helping the environment.
And so we took this time to use Earth Day to reflect upon those folks that we've cared for, those folks that we've lost, the tremendous energy that's been put forth by our medical staff.
The new tree grove is north of the hospital's parking lot. 6:07.
Talbot, wonderful man right there. Weather trend for today has mostly cloudy skies, but temperatures finally going to be in the mid-60s. We've been waiting for this one, and we also know what we're waiting on. Thunderstorm activity is going to move in from the south. Early evening, take us all the way through the night. We're talking about some good heavy rain right there. Clearing out Saturday morning, pushing off to the east, and Saturday afternoon. Really looking delightful. We're talking about sunny skies in mid-60s, so that can't be beat. And then we deserve this after record-breaking cold this week. Finally, a day full of sunshine and temperatures in the mid-70s for Sunday.
That's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, how safe are e-powered cars?
Electric cars are becoming more mainstream, but are they as safe as traditional cars? I'm Nancy Chin with results from a series of new crash tests.
Plus, we continue our staycation series with a trip to a local winery, fully embracing its Irish heritage. And a new study shows the impact of climate change on air quality in the U.S. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, a growing number of electric vehicles are hitting the road, and experts are now putting the e-powered cars through the paces to see how safe they are. Nancy Chin has the results.
In crash tests to the front and the side, the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E performed well, earning a top safety pick award. The SUV is just one of several electric vehicles recently analyzed by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. The Volvo XC40 Recharge, Audi e-tron, and Tesla Model 3 all earned the highest honor of Top Safety Pick Plus.
These electric vehicles are performing just as well as the internal combustion engine models.
IIHS President David Harkey calls the results encouraging since the manufacturing of electric cars is speeding up. Some automakers are planning to shift their fleets almost completely to e-power in the coming decades.
It has really good protection when it comes to crashworthiness, and it has the same features when it comes to collision avoidance.
Electric cars also appear to perform better in the real world, protecting drivers and passengers. The Highway Loss Data Institute says injury claims for electric vehicles were about 40% lower than accidents involving identical gas-powered models.
One of the reasons we think we are seeing that is because the weight of an electric vehicle is greater.
E-powered cars weigh more because of the heavy batteries, and research shows occupants in heavier vehicles experience less force in a crash, leading to fewer injuries.
And so that's good news for consumers. They can have confidence in purchasing an electric vehicle.
The IIHS will test more electric cars later this year to see if they also make the grade. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
A Barbie girl in a Barbie world helped Mattel in its latest quarter. I'm sorry, I can't sing it. The toy maker said sales nearly doubled in the past quarter to $874.2 million as parents shelled out money for Barbies and Hot Wheels during the ongoing pandemic. Shares rose 7% in after-hours trading after beating Wall Street expectations. An early prototype for the U.S. dollar coin is going up for auction today. A 1794 piece of copper known as the No Stars Flowing Hair Dollar is expected to fetch up to $500,000. Well, similar to other coins that were later printed in Philadelphia, this is noteworthy for its lack of stars around the edge. Kind of neat. Pepsi is pleasing its fans with the return of a throwback favorite. Roses are red and Pepsi is blue. All right, the soda company announces its fan favorite blueberry flavored soft drink will return to stores for the first time since 2004. Pepsi broke the news to customers with an ad appropriately to the throwback tune of I'm Blue by Eiffel 65. Shoppers will be able to start spotting the cool colored soft drink on shelves everywhere starting May 3rd. Awesome. That's it from Money Watch. We'll be right back.
Close out the work week with mostly cloudy skies. Live look over Television City, where we sit at a very comfortable 49 degrees. Hard to beat it temperature-wise, considering we broke 2 record lows and came within a degree of just doing it again yesterday. 48 in Pittsburgh, 50 right now in Welch, and 49 in Carthage. As far as our weather almanac for today, we're going to creep back close to that 70-degree mark by the time we get to Sunday. But the nice thing is we don't have to worry about those lows, at least for the time being. Look at that 17-degree jump up from where we were at this point in time on Thursday. And we've done so even with the cloud cover. Clouds actually helped a little bit as far as keeping us on the mild side, and all the rain from yesterday, albeit it was light, more of an annoyance than anything else, is pushed off to the east. So we really don't have any worries as far as our morning goes, and it's not going to be central Kansas that we keep our eyes on like we did yesterday. No, it's going to be the Gulf moisture that comes up from the southwest right there. You can tell the jet stream just going to take everything and force it right at us. So the cold temperatures and the rain now moving on the eastern side of the Mississippi, so they can deal with the freeze warnings and the frost advisories into the weekend. We're going to deal with thunderstorms. Even though we make it up into the 60s today, we're really going to talk about what transpires later this afternoon and evening. We could see light raindrops throughout the course of our morning hours. Now, as we get into Friday afternoon and evening, here we go. We're going to get heavy rain, anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 inches of precip by the time it's said and done. That thing's going to throw down some lightning and some thunder as well. High winds, especially to the south as we work toward midnight. Saturday morning, finally pushing off to the east. And Saturday afternoon's really not going to be bad at all. We're clearing skies. We got temperatures up into the 60s. And after we get to dry out Saturday afternoon, a wonderful looking Sunday. Sunshine, mid-70s. Over to Tanya in Studio K.
Well, when you hear about places famous for wine, you probably think about places like the Napa Valley or Bordeaux, France. But what about Jasper County, Missouri? For our next 4-state staycation segment, we sent KOAM photojournalist Liam Mandelbaum to a local winery that's not shy about its Irish roots.
We're at Kiltoy Vineyards, out just north of Joplin, about 15 miles out in Oronogo. I heard about this place actually back in college. I had just turned 21, and Irv Langan had donated a bit of wine to Missouri Southern, and I was like, oh, this is an interesting place, and head up here and just fell in love with it and never went away.
I don't know what I was thinking 20 years ago when I started this. I'm kind of like, oh my goodness. But it Actually, for way out here nowhere, we do seem to get a pretty good crowd.
I feel very much we're a tourist attraction. You know, it always shocks me. I talked to someone from Germany the other day. You know, you never know, show up if you have someone from out of state camping in your front, or if something's dramatic going on in the cellar, something's coming in, but it's always fun, always interesting, and someone always cool to meet here.
Right here is what we call Maynooth Park. A lot of people come down here because it's so quiet down here. And folks there's a mile walking trail right behind us. When you start up there at the winery, over up there in front, and you walk around here and back up there, it's a mile. And people will stop in here, and this is our Blarney Stone. And this one here is not like the one over in Ireland, that gives you the gift of gab. This one here is for good luck. So people can tell you some things that happened that was very good luck to them by kissing this. Who knows? It may happen, may not. And wherever you have a pack of Irishmen, you need something to remind you of what Ireland's about. And that's kind of what we've done out here.
We've been around for a long time, and it just kind of organically grew into this really beautiful place. And Irv and Leanna made it a great location to kind of come and set out and enjoy a glass of wine. And you know, we're a gym out here at Keltoy. You got to just kind of find us. If you know about us, great.
Created quite a few memories out there at Keltoy. Definitely recommend it. Well, if you want to check out Keltoy Winery yourself, it's open Wednesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then on Sundays from noon to 5. We'll have all that information on our morning show page, KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be right back. Highlights the impact climate change is having on air quality in the U.S. The report from the American Lung Association finds more than 40% of people in the U.S. live in areas with unhealthy air quality. And as Mary Maloney reports, people of color are being the most negatively affected.
4 in 10 people in the U.S. are breathing polluted air, and people of color are suffering the most. That's according to the American Lung Association. Their State of the Air report found more than 135 million people in the U.S. live in counties with unhealthy air quality, meaning the air they're breathing has high levels of particulate matter, known as soot, and ozone, also known as smog. The American Lung Association says these pollutants can lead to issues with asthma and, in some extreme cases, lung cancer.
We're the ones who are causing this unhealthy air by factories, by motor vehicles, by even certain climate changes that we're causing that allow for things like wildfires to take place.
The report also found 61% of people of color are more likely than white people to live in a county with a failing grade for at least one pollutant, and 3 times more likely to live in counties with the most polluted air.
African Americans, persons of color living in neighborhoods that smog and pollutants and so forth are coming from the factories into their neighborhoods. Some of that is intentional in regards to kind of the structural racism that's allowed that to occur.
The American Lung Association says collaboration between the government and the community is needed to find solutions. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mary Maloney.
Although there's evidence from 2020, there was a reduction in a variety of pollutants that's not captured in this report. It only looked at data from 2017, 2018, and 2019, right before the pandemic. Researchers at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York have designed a drug that reverses key symptoms of Alzheimer's disease in mice. Doctors say some factors that contribute to Alzheimer's in mice also occur in humans, which gives hope this drug may one day help people with the disease. Exciting. Most blood banks in the U.S. are moving away from COVID-19 antibody screening and are no longer collecting plasma from survivors. That's according to the Red Cross, an industry group called America's Blood Centers. The organizations say they have enough convalescent plasma since vaccinations are up and cases are down. Blood banks say they're now worried about a shortage of regular blood donations since the pandemic has shut down many blood drives. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Sunrise at 6:33. It's just going to be a cloudy start as we anticipate The thunderstorms rolling in for the afternoon hour. Still going to be in the mid-60s, so that's not too bad. Once it does begin, we're talking about getting some heavy rain coming down anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 inches until it disperses out to the east. Saturday afternoon, we'll get a little sunshine. But I tell you what, Sunday is going to be the day to do anything outdoors because that'll be in the 70s. We'll be back right after this.
Authorities search for 3 suspects in the aftermath of a large Southeast Kansas drug bust. Plus, the Missouri Budget Committee votes on funding Medicaid expansion, and Kansas Governor Laura Kelly vetoes legislation that would have banned trans student athletes from competing in girls' sports.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Like we've been saying, don't forget your raincoat because at some point today you might experience a few showers. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
And if you're out and about tomorrow morning as well. So yeah, it's going to be handy to have. Right now, we're looking pretty good despite the fact that we've got cloud skies outside of Television City. Very comfortable 49 degrees. We will take that considering what we've had the past couple of days. Now throwing up some additional 50s throughout northeast Oklahoma as Miami and Grove has joined the club as well. 48 in Pittsburgh and 46 in Nevada and Stockton. All the light rain from yesterday is pushed off to the east right there. We'll turn our attention to what's beginning to develop right there along the Red River. That's our Gulf moisture that's going to bring us thunderstorm activity for later this afternoon and evening. Tell, right, it's going to be right along that collision line where the colder temps and the Gulf moisture, they're going to hook up. It's going to take a while to develop here. Morning's not going to be anything special. It's actually going to be quite comfortable. Mid to high 50s by the noon hour, 60s. When we get into the afternoon, any stray raindrops that you see there on Future Track, that is relatively light. Now, when we get into the afternoon and evening hours, here we roll. Look at that heavy rain down there right along the Kansas-Oklahoma state line, comes through the 4 states, spreads down to the south. That thing's going to throw some thunder and lightning at us. Lasts on the other side of midnight into Saturday morning. Should be out of here by 8, 9 o'clock. And after it tapers off, really looking at a nice Saturday afternoon with sunny skies in mid-60s. Sunday is the day to be out and about. How about a whole bunch of sunshine and into the mid-70s?
All right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. We've got our Cub Scouts out doing some outdoor cleanup work on Sunday, so it'll be perfect weather for that.
Speaking of cleanup work, don't think we're going to have a whole lot of high wind with this. You will the farther south that you go, especially through portions of central Oklahoma and Arkansas. Our main threat, I think, is going to be the heavy rain.
All right. We'll keep an eye on that. Thanks, Michael. Police search for at least 3 more suspects following a series of drug raids in southeast Kansas. Warrants remain active for Kevin Pratt and Jessica Rogers from Iola and Timothy Mishler from Chanute. They're among 12 suspects who were sought in KBI raids Wednesday in Neosho County, Allen County, and Montgomery County, Kansas, following an 8-month-long investigation of drug crimes, including distribution of methamphetamine. One of the raids was at this location on North Garfield in Chanute, where officers say they found suspicious explosive devices. They've arrested a total of 9 people so far, 6 suspects from Chanute, 2 from Iola, and 1 from Cherryvale. For a complete list of arrests and charges, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A Missouri Senate Budget Committee votes against funding the voter-approved Medicaid expansion. The budget panel voted 7-7 on a Republican-sponsored proposal that would have set money aside to pay for the program. The tied vote means the proposal failed. Missouri voters last year amended the state constitution to extend government health care to thousands more low-income adults. But now the legislature is arguing over whether to pay for it. The leader of the Budget Committee says it's now up to the full Senate to make a final decision on funding for the program. In Kansas, Governor Laura Kelly vetoes legislation that would have banned trans student athletes from competing in girls' sports. In a statement, the governor said, quote, "As Kansans, we should be focused on how to include all students in extracurricular activities, rather than how to exclude those who may be different than us. Kansas is an inclusive state, and our laws should reflect our values. This law does not do that." Supporters of the bill still could try to override her veto and try to persuade a handful of moderate Republicans who either voted against the bill or abstained to switch. In order to override, supporters need to pick up only one more vote in the Senate, but they need 8 more in the House. No Democrat voted for it. Students at Pittsburg State University are trying to make a lasting difference on Earth Day. KOAM's Zach Dodge has their story.
Sustainability isn't something huge that's unattainable.
That's what a group of seniors at Pitt State want to show their fellow classmates and the community. Emily Romble and Nicholas Della Camara are part of a group of seniors at the university putting together the school's first campus community green guide.
It's just basically a guide that is going to highlight a lot of what Pittsburg State University does in regards to sustainability, so a lot of their initiatives, just what they do on campus.
From how they heat the buildings with steam instead of fossil fuels to how they plant native plants to help nurture the environment.
We wanted to take it a step further and incorporate local businesses because we believe that shopping locally is another part of sustainability, and we wanted to promote that within the Pittsburgh community.
One of them is Root Coffee House, where they conserve electricity, water, and use reusable dishes.
I think it's really cool, and I know it's really important to some people to support businesses that are doing their part. So I think that it will help people that are really interested in that know which places they would prefer to go to.
But perhaps the most important thing in the guide will be ways for incoming students and residents to be more sustainable.
It's just everyday practices that you can do that will benefit you, the university, and the community.
We believe that sustainability is the way of the future, and we hope that this guide is a step towards that.
In Pittsburgh, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Students will be finishing the guide next month with plans for it to be available to students and the public this fall. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, a googly-eyed garbage-grabbing invention.
It's collected more than 1 million plastic bottles and captivated thousands of fans. I'm Deborah Alfrone in the Baltimore Harbor with the latest member of the Mr. Trash Wheel family.
All right, plus for our something to talk about, we're asking, should Washington, D.C. become the 51st state? We let you weigh in, but first, it's 6:37.
Mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures are going to be up into the mid-60s. Thunderstorm activity is going to develop for the afternoon and evening hours as it rolls through. It is going to be a wet, stormy Friday night into Saturday. If you got plans to be out and about tonight, let's keep an eye on the radar because this thing is capable of throwing down some pretty heavy rain here beginning in between 5 and 7 p.m. Everything originates out to the south, and the thunder and lightning are going to roll through. Look at this as we get ready to turn the clock into Saturday. That's rather impressive in nature right there. As it pushes off to the east throughout Saturday morning, we have clearing skies on the backside of it and temperatures up into the 60s for the 7-day forecast. Speaking of the 7-day forecast, Sunday is going to be the best day to be out and about. How about a whole bunch of sunshine and temps into the mid-70s? Throw up an 80 there on Monday. It's about time after record-breaking cold earlier this week. We'll be back with Nation Watch right after this.
This morning, it takes just minutes to drink a bottle of water, but a discarded plastic bottle can remain in an ocean for at least 450 years. Deborah Alfrone takes us to Maryland's Baltimore Harbor, where a team of environmental-minded inventors say they're trying to change the future one waterway and one mind at a time.
This googly-eyed, garbage-grabbing invention is Mr. Trash Wheel. He's the first member of a unique trash-collecting family that keeps this section of the Baltimore Harbor clean. And now the family's growing.
That's correct. We actually have 4 trash wheels here in Baltimore. Mr. Trash Wheel, Professor Trash Wheel, Captain Trash Wheel, and very soon, Gwenda, the Good Wheel of the West, is our brand new trash wheel.
It was his idea to make the trash wheels memorable.
I built the first set of googly eyes in my basement.
But it was John Kellett's idea to make them in the first place. He says he was simply sick of seeing trash.
Every day on my way to work, I'd think about the problem and think about what we could do about it.
Kellett drew up a prototype on a napkin and contacted city leaders.
If we didn't pick it up, it's causing problems not just for weeks or months or even years, it's causing problems for hundreds of years.
And not just in the harbor, rivers worldwide feed into the oceans.
The flow of the river that brings the trash helps turn that wheel.
When the rivers calm, solar power kicks in. These rakes bring the trash closer to the conveyor belt, which then feed it into a dumpster. Since 2014, trash wheels here have collected more than 1 million styrofoam containers and plastic bottles and more than 12 million cigarette butts. The team gets calls each week from cities throughout the country and around the world about replicating the technology.
It makes me giggle, and it's fun, and it's doing good.
I think it's pretty ingenious.
It's also made a huge difference to inspiring people to become part of the solution.
The newest member, Gwenda, is shinier and has more solar panels. With her at work, it's all hands, or googly eyes, on deck. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Baltimore, Maryland.
After the trash is collected, it's taken to be incinerated, which generates electricity for homes and businesses. That's a look at today's top national story. Let's check back in with Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, the U.S. Eyeballing 51 states, perhaps, still faces some hurdles. Whoa, coffee, wrong tube. Got me good. It's freshly brewed, though. Did you enjoy it? Okay. It is ready, by the way. Okay. Now I'm good. I'm back on my feet. Anyway, asking what you think about Washington, D.C. becoming a state. Chad Kennedy says it was set up by the founders to not be. This is one thing that does not need to be changed. And Andrew Stanford says absolutely not. D.C. set up as the federal capital where all federal duties should be conducted, such as making laws and governing our countries. It is our nation's capital, and that's it. If we violate our Constitution to grant a city statehood, Andrew asked, then where does it end? And on the morning Insta poll right now, it's been overwhelming pretty much the entire day. It's 80% of you saying no, that D.C. should not become the 51st state. You can make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Private First Class Ronald Uber, who served in the United States Air Force. He served from 1964 to 1965 in Vietnam. His hometown, Weir, Kansas. We are proud to salute Ronald Uber, our four-state hero.
We begin our birthday list off with a smiling Aniston King. Aniston celebrating her second birthday. Happy birthday, big girl. She's in Erie.
What a cutie there. Aaliyah Ketcher turning 5 years old this year. Another cutie there in Joplin. Your birthday wish is coming with much love from Grammy and Papa Carnahan. Happy birthday, Aaliyah.
It is a party in Galena, Kansas. Specifically, it is a party in the Clyburn household because that big man there on the left, he is celebrating his 7th birthday. That is Dalton Clyburn. Dalton, I want you to have a very happy birthday. And guess who he shares it with? Carol Clyburn, his grandma. Carol is celebrating her 64th. Dalton and Carol, a very happy birthday to the both of you.
Well, Michael, it may be party time in Galena, but it's also double the trouble party time in Chanute, Kansas, because the Gentis twins are turning 8 years old this year. There's Austin and Devin. Austin and Devin both celebrating their 8th birthday this year.
Wyatt Yost has a 14th birthday. Get a little riding in this weekend after that rain's over there, Wyatt. Happy birthday to you in Columbus.
All right. And Stuart O'Brien, now a junior this year at St. Mary's Colgan. Wow, grown up. 17 years old for Stuart. Happy birthday.
Let's run out to Parsons and celebrate a couple twos on the board for Miss Caitlin Young. Caitlin, happy birthday.
Devin Heckert turning 26 years old. Little throwback picture there for Devin in Pittsburgh.
And a 29th birthday for Robin Hutto Zorns. Robin, have a great weekend. She's celebrating in Riverton.
Scott Mullerin is 59 years old this year in Frontenac. Happy birthday, Scott.
And a 60th birthday celebration for Vicky Wadino. Happy birthday to Vicky in Pittsburgh.
In Jasper, Sandra Earl. Love that picture there. Turning 69 years old this year. Happy birthday, Sandra.
Back to the Berg because we've got a 70th birthday celebration for Mr. Tom Lockmiller. Tom, have a great weekend.
And Sister Bulita Polly.
Yes. Marvelous.
Originally from St. Paul. is now 97 years old.
Just a marvelous woman right there. Happy, happy birthday, sister. I hope you are doing extremely well, ma'am. And Linda Decker has a birthday in Pittsburgh. Linda, a happy birthday weekend to you.
Happy birthday, Linda. Joyce Kopp down in Miami, Oklahoma, turning 72 years old this year. Elizabeth Sherrill is 12 years old in Webb City. And Kathy Paddock celebrating birthday number 64 in Galena. Remember we said the Clyburns were going to be partying? Well, this is Carol, Grandma Clyburn's twin sister.
Isn't that something else?
Yeah.
A good day. That's gonna be a big birthday party right there.
Yeah.
Jim Sparks, a happy birthday to you. Mr. Sparks is celebrating in Pittsburgh. Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. You get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Overcast skies outside of Television City. Live look from our tower cam where we've got temperatures that are a very comfortable 49 degrees right now. Even with the wind chill, comparatively speaking for what we've had the past couple of days, it's delightful. 50 in Miami and in Grove. Throw Welch in there as well. 49 in Chanute. A little bit cooler out on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri where Monette and Cassville currently sit at 46. But we don't have to worry about breaking any record lows anytime soon. Remember, 2 days this week, we broke record lows. 1 day this week, we came within a degree of tying it. And now we've got a 17-degree jump in Joplin from where we were at this point in time yesterday. The light rain that we had for yesterday, that's moved off. No worries on it. Just not a whole lot of sunshine early. Least of our concerns, though. It's going to be a delightful morning, but we pay attention to what develops down to the south by the Red River as it is going to bring us thunderstorm activity. No watches or warnings for us to worry about. The freeze and frost warnings and advisories have now pushed off all the way to the east coast, and we're able to make it up into the mid-60s. Let's talk about the thunderstorm development here, because as we get into the late afternoon, early evening hours, it presents itself in a band of some very, very heavy rain. Moves in from the south, and then it kind of pushes east over us. We're kind of just about on the northern tip of this system. It's not really going to make it farther north than Kansas City. Thunder and lightning anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain before it subsides Saturday morning. Now, Saturday afternoon is not going to be too bad at all. We'll actually be up into the mid-60s with some sunshine before Saturday is over. And Sunday is the day to be out and about, mid-70s and sunny skies. We'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News right after this. A couple more comments from our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. Jason Stark says, yes, D.C. should be a state. Says the population larger than some states, they deserve representation as well. And Jason Brannon says they're going to grant the federal government same rights and protections as a state while giving them more Democratic control of the House and Senate, because we all know that D.C. is predominantly left-leaning. Jason says, so dumb. Folks need to stand up and fight for what our founders wrote down in our Constitution and return the power back to the people. It's been overwhelming on our Insta poll this morning. 83% of you saying no, Washington, D.C. should not become the 51st state. Tanya?
All right, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Scientists advising the government meet today in an emergency session to discuss the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. CBS News has learned the U.S. could decide to resume use of the J&J shot, but the vaccine could carry a new warning after several women who received it came down with a rare blood clotting disorder. As many as 10 million doses have been sitting unused since last week. Police search for at least 3 more suspects following a series of drug raids in southeast Kansas. Warrants remain active for Kevin Pratt and Jessica Rogers from Iola and Timothy Mishler from Chanute. They're among 12 suspects who were sought in KBI raids Wednesday in Neosho County, Allen County, and Montgomery County, Kansas, following an 8-month-long investigation of drug crimes, including distribution of methamphetamine. One of the raids was at this location on North Garfield in Chanute, where officers say they found suspicious explosive devices. They've arrested a total of 9 people so far, 6 suspects from Chanute, 2 from Iola, and 1 from Cherryvale. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Let's roll the day planner one more time. Not a whole lot of sunshine early with overcast skies. Does keep our temperatures nice and mild, be up close to 60 by noon and top out around 65. The important aspect of today is the developing thunderstorm activity for late afternoon, early evening hours. Bubbling up with Gulf moisture from the south, good amount of instability is going to bring us thunder and lightning along with heavy rain as it rolls through all the way in the nighttime hours into Saturday, finally calming down about 9 a.m. tomorrow and clearing off. It's going to be a little bit soggy on Saturday, even after we get some sunshine. If you got afternoon plans, hold them off until Saturday afternoon or take advantage of a gorgeous Sunday, mid-70s and sunny skies.
Coming up today at noon, we're making a bacon and fried chicken waffle witch in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Sorry, my bad.
It's going to be good.
I like waffle. Are you waffle or pancake person?
I prefer waffles.
Do you?
I never make them as often, though. I don't know why. Pancakes are just easy.
They're messy.
You can make more at a time.
And then you got to clean up the iron.
True.
That too.
I use a griddle for my pancakes. So.
Oh, my bad. Hey, we also have a great interview coming up with a gentleman by the name of Matt Rodell. He's the acting deputy director of Earth Sciences at NASA. He's going to explain the importance of the International Space Station when it comes to monitoring climate change, and also give us a preview of what's called Landsat 9. That's actually going to be launched a little bit later this year, and what it is able to help us with, not only from a weather perspective, but also from an agriculture perspective as well. Of course, your morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Morning News coming up next, or
you could switch on over with us on Fox 14 and watch all those things we just talked about.
All right, I want everybody to have a great, safe Friday and a wonderful four-state weekend. Hang in there tonight. We get through these thunderstorms, and remember, Sunday is going to be absolutely delightful, and we'll do this all again on Monday morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.